Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second edition of what we call the Motoring Conversations, which is a series of freewheeling chats with key members in the auto industry. Today, we are going to be chatting with Santosh Iyer. Hi, Santosh. How are you?
Hello. Hi,
He
Pablo. Hi.
is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Mercedes-Benz India. We also have with us Rajashri Moitra, who's the Executive Officer and Head Consumer Business at Bridgestone India. Thank you for joining us, and also thank you for
Thank you,
kindly
Pablo.
agreeing to
It's a
be our
pleasure to be
sponsors.
here.
Thank you. Gentlemen, this discussion is going to range around how COVID has affected the luxury end of the market, if at all. Obviously, it has, but my hypothesis is that it has affected the luxury end of the market in a different way than the mass market, because it's a whole new, it's a totally different paradigm there. So Santosh, I'd like to begin with you and ask you, how has it affected Mercedes-Benz, for example, which is currently, you're at the top of your game at the luxury end of the market. How has it affected you, and what have you been doing to meet these challenges?
So see, as far as Mercedes-Benz is concerned, we are also not insulated from the industry. And there are two types of shocks we witness. One is the supply side shock. To start with, there is a disruption in terms of supplies when it comes to the production and the factory supply chain. Also, a bit of delays in the new launches. For example, the new EQ that we were intending to launch, it got delayed now by 2 months. We are just launching it in October. And that also applies for the A-Class as well as the new GLA. So that's on the supply side. There are challenges to launch new products and introduce new cars to the market. On the demand side, I think when COVID happened, of course, May was one of the months where everything was closed. April was zero, you can say, for the automotive industry. But from May onwards, we are seeing a positive trend. So, first of all markets didn't open up together. So we had staggered increase. So May was the first month, and then going into June, July, and now we just closed August. So month on month, we see a 20-25% increase compared to the previous month. That gives us some hope. Having said that, we are still close to 50% down compared to the last year levels. That's a significant drop in terms of volumes. But now the festive period in front of us gives us hope that mostly by September or latest by October, we should at least come to last year levels of sales. And that would be a very good recovery if that's done. Having said that, we see a different pattern because, in mass market, there are people buying cars for personal mobility because they need now cars. Public transport is not there. Also, the awareness on safety and hygiene. But in the luxury segment, we have two types of customers. One is in the top end. They are just feeling liberated now. They have gone out of this entire lockdown. They want to drive the AMGs. They are buying the new cars, the new GLS, the new GLE. Whereas in the, in the other spectrum, we find a lot of conservatism. Is this the right time? Right now I've just started, so should I postpone my purchase? Credit is an issue also with banks because I think they have also changed the risk profiling, and that's why we have a lot of inquiries, but not many go through the bank documentation and others. So it's a bit of challenge when it comes to say 40, 50, 60 lakh segment. But in the top end with new cars, it's been a good one.
Right. Raj, if I may ask you, with respect to, again, the luxury end of the market, how has it affected your end of that business? Because you supply, across the market.
Yes. So sure, Pablo. I think the luxury end of the market is something that we've been studying very closely, because when the COVID pandemic just happened in the early days, there was a lot of apprehension about this kind of segment because of, pushing back of sales, lesser travel, all the travel restrictions that Santosh also mentioned, May till I think around mid of May, all of us were locked in.
Right.
However, we've kind of seen two trends happening. A luxury car consumer, or a luxury car tire consumer in our case, unlike a mass market tire consumer, is not typically downgrading his brand. So in the mass market, in these times of challenges, when there are financial challenges, etc., they are going into the retail store and asking for a more value for money brand. Or, if they're getting a cheaper brand, maybe 20% lower performance at a 20%, 25% lower, cheaper price, that shift could be happening. A luxury car tire consumer is very conscious on the brand. The other thing, Santosh also mentioned, and I agree with him, post the unlock, I think people are feeling very liberated. So they're wanting to go out. A lot of the luxury consumers who would typically be flying out to holidays are now doing a lot of these road drives and road trips.
Right.
So we see a decent amount of demand coming in the premium car segment. From a tire replacement, they coming into the stores, inquiries, leads, etc., have gone up significantly. There is also most premium Bridgestone. We are an Indian company with we're a global company with presence, a manufacturing presence in India, but a lot of these premium tires are imported. So there is also a shortage in terms of these imports and the disruption on the value chain globally. Which has also kind of raised some amount of demand. But yes, we do see people coming in and getting their tires replaced, serviced, aligned, balanced for their road trips. So, there is a lot of movement in that segment.
Right. That's interesting because, obviously in this world such as ours, which is everything is interconnected, one little blip happens in one end of the supply chain and it affects 20 other things down the line. So it's interesting how what Santosh said and what you said sort of connect up with each other. And moving on from there, Santosh, do you see what has happened now? Obviously, nobody could have predicted COVID. Having said that, the automotive industry in India was already struggling a little bit much before all of this happened, for various reasons. So do you see what has happened now as a blip? Is it just a temporary blip, or do you see this as a total paradigm shift? Do you see, would it be correct to say that the automotive industry is never going to be the same again? And that a few months down the line, when things quote unquote normalize, will it ever be the same? Will customers act the same? Will demand be the same? Will the way they think, the consumer experience now, digital is where it's at. People are able to indeed with you log on to your website and customize a car and have it delivered to the house. So again, at that end of the market, what do you see happening?
So, there are two sides and aspects to your question. One is what happens to demand, whether the demand comes back at what levels right now, and more so for our market and the luxury and the total automotive industry. And the second piece is consumer buying behavior change. And maybe I will come to that in a while. But first to talk about the demand piece, we are cautiously optimistic. First of all, as you rightly said, the slowdown happened even before COVID. So, we were facing 2019 was not one of the best years, though we ended on a very good note. Our market shares increased, but overall luxury car market really dropped. And that was not a good sign, even before pre-COVID. What COVID has done is, of course, there is a shock. As I said, the demand shock is there. It's coming now slowly back, but 2-3 things will influence it. Number one, I would say the time for vaccination and therapeutic medicines. By when will these be available? And that will change a lot of sentiments, because this is a sentiment-driven market also. So I think till the time, the moment there is a firm announcement of a date and availability, you will see a positive sentiment coming back, not only for our segment, but in general in the industry and the market. The second is the stimulus, so-called, from the government. And here we have limited hopes, because I think India is an agrarian economy. Thankfully, the monsoons have been good. So in that sense, we are seeing, when I look at the total PV market, including two-wheelers, they have come back. So I think this should trickle down also to the luxury car segment, and we should see some demand again coming back. But if I look at the full year impact, because I think we had 2 to 3 months of zero sales, and then so the full year impact will still be Jan to December, close to 50% or even more than that is what we see. So it's a very big negative year for us, and also for the automotive industry. Very difficult to recover in the next 2 to 3 months' time. Now, the way we look at the next year's future is, of course, one, as I said, is based on when the vaccines or the therapeutic medicines, etc., are available. On the other side, we feel it will take 1 or 2 years for the industry to come back to 2018 levels, because 2018 was a good year, and 19 started this shock. So I think we have lost 2 years at least in this bargain to come back to the 2018 levels. So maybe that may happen by 2022 or even beyond. But there is hope. I think what we have seen now in the last couple of days and months, we are seeing, but it's not a V-shaped recovery. It's still a U, you can say, in that sense. So that's on the demand side. Then to go back to your question on the consumer behavior, I think we see, and in last year October we started connected cars and we started online buying our platform with Roadster, an e-commerce platform to buy and sell cars. And I remember during the press conference when we said, we believe 25% of new car sales will happen online by 2022, 2025, and that's what we believe. That was a big question mark. But today, if you see, we are already 10% plus of our sales are happening online. This is pure online behavior, customer coming online, buying online, and some of them coming online, buying offline. So all these trends are happening. What we changed with COVID is a very different behavior, which is called offline to online. So basically, he comes offline, and then we take him through a virtual consultation online. We make him book the car online, and that's something a very different, which was not thought of pre-COVID times. But I think post-COVID, because of social distancing and others, we came up with this. So on the other side, I am in the showroom today. We met some customers in the morning. Also, they are coming in trying to check out cars. So I think there is a lot of positive showroom walk-ins even now. It's around 3 to 4 walk-ins a day. It's not bad. I never imagined that. So I think customers still want to come. And most importantly, when I ask our dealers, the customer still wants to take delivery from the showroom. We are ready to offer doorstep delivery, sanitized car. But that entire thing, joy of buying a car, coming to a showroom, doing a small ritual, clicking pictures, that still remains. So we are very confident that this trend will continue. Maybe we don't need large showrooms because digital will compensate, but still we need showrooms and facilities for that buying experience, which will continue. So that I think answers both your questions.
Right. So if I might follow up with you, Raj, obviously the showroom experience is very different in your line of work and in your business. But do you broadly agree with what Santosh is saying in terms of timelines, in terms of in terms of the overall market recovery? Because as we said earlier, everything is connected right now.
So Pablo, I completely agree with what Santosh is saying, and I'll also kind of take the answer in these two bits from a demand point of view. So the Indian market has seen the slowdown since 2018. We've had a challenge in the automotive market where we've kind of seen scuttled growth. And that has an impact on the vehicle park starting 2021. So the overall vehicle park is kind of much more subdued than we expected it to be. So we do see demand being a little more subdued.
Right.
On the replacement side, the scene or the scenario is not that bad because we do have a vehicle park where people will replace their tires. And if they're not buying their new vehicle, they use their current vehicles longer, and that creates the kind of a demand for us. Overall, on a year-to-year basis, yes, we see a dent, but we see some positive improvements post the unlocks. And the true unlock actually happened in August, because July also, while there was an unlock, and then mid-July, there were certain lockdowns which were again restricted. So we'll have to see how the festive season fares out. From the consumer behavior point of view, I think I agree with Santosh. In our case, our shops are smaller, and these are more sales and service shops. So we realized that in the premium luxury consumer, and Santosh mentioned, they're involved because the ticket size is larger. Even for a tire replacement, the ticket size is larger. So they do a lot of research. They would call up, they would check. We anticipated the consumer being a little apprehensive about going to a tire retail store because it just increases the point of exposure. So we've been thinking about it since the early days of the pandemic, and we've launched a couple of innovations around that. So we have this new service called Book My Service, where you could book your service appointment at one of our exclusive stores, and you don't have to wait. You don't have to kind of stand in a queue. Your car gets there, it gets serviced, the tires get changed, aligned, balanced, and you come back. We've just topped that up with a pickup and drop valet service with a world-class partnership firm, where again, it's completely, you can track your vehicle. A valet following complete hygiene and health standards, safety standards, comes in, picks up your car, gets it serviced, sends it back home. And he also sanitizes it post-sending. So we see that kind of picking up in the tire segment. But we also see the consumers spending a far more amount of time online researching and trying to kind of find out about the brand. So it's becoming more omni-channel from an experience point of view.
Right.
In our case, and that's where we've been kind of working on as a brand.
Right. Well, my next question is to you, Santosh, which is that during this lockdown, we're getting out almost 6 months now. A lot of people have discovered that obviously the economic effects have been massive, but people have also discovered things like, oh, look, the air is suddenly cleaner. The water is cleaner. There are more birds. So environmentally, just willy-nilly, there's been a, shall we say, a positive effect, and which a lot of people are thinking, hey, things can also be like this. This is also a future that can be envisioned, not just for ourselves, but importantly for our children.
Yeah,
So do you think that will affect again the way people think about cars and about their purchase decisions in the sense that will they think more about the environmental impact that buying a new automobile will have, and so therefore what do you think will be the importance of, say, alternative fuels and full electric vehicles? You've just launched the EQC, for example. So do you have something to say about that?
no, I think even the topic of sustainability was there, in consumers' mind and all of us, but then it was like a passing remark. At a time
Yeah,
of purchase, no one was really considering it very actively. But I think, as you
right.
rightly mentioned, what we have seen in the last 6 months, people now appreciate, firstly, of course, the environment and also health, the personal hygiene, the
Hmm.
health and safety has also
Hmm.
taken a lot of precedence. So we also see,
Hmm.
for example, in our cars, we have this fit and healthy package. Earlier,
Hmm.
nobody was bothered to check what is the PM level inside the car when it comes from air conditioning or,
Hmm.
even the comfort or the decibel
Hmm.
levels. But now there is a lot of importance to what we offer in those packages, etc., in the car. The other side,
Hmm.
when it comes to sustainability, I think everybody wants sustainability, but are they ready to pay the price? That's going to be the big question, because,
Right.
of course, there is much more
Hmm.
expensive when you look at cars. And coming to
Hmm.
EQC, for example, we say this is not about zero tailpipe emission, because that for sure an electric car
Hmm.
can do. But we are committed
Hmm.
to a complete value chain, including production
Hmm.
and recycling.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
we say that 95% of our cars are recyclable and 85% recoverable. And our target is to be 100%
Right.
here. Uh, Yes, day before when we premiered the new S-Class, we also showed the Factory 56, which is completely a sustainable way of manufacturing cars. So, it goes beyond just cars,
Hmm.
but also how we manufacture them. With EQ, and as well as with, the future, we completely see going in this direction, but it has to be also pushed by manufacturers. It will not be coming from the consumer demand alone.
Hmm.
So we as Daimler have come up with a promise that by 2039, we will be completely carbon neutral, and that's a big statement. Uh,
Hmm.
in India, for example, by end of next year, our factory in India will be 100% powered by renewable energy, and that's so we are not waiting for
Right.
a long-term roadmap, and we are also committing beyond
Hmm.
cars and tailpipe emissions, and that's, I think,
Hmm.
customers will start realizing this. But the, the maturity of a market can only be determined if are they willing to pay for this sustainability, and I think
Yeah, of
the,
course.
the introductions of electric mobility and all this with government incentives for sure should pick up, and I think that's why government is intervening by giving road tax free or special lower GST on electric cars, and a
Hmm.
combination of this should surely push up demand for sustainable vehicles as well as for mobility.
Right. The same question to you, Raj, in a slightly different way, which is, of course, tires. Components that go into tires are also have an impact on the environment. Manufacturing process, what you put in, and especially at the higher end of the market. For luxury cars, you require higher performance tires, and people tend to be more discerning at that, as you also mentioned, at that end of the market. So, what is Bridgestone doing in terms of sustainability, in terms of making their products, especially at that end of the market, more environment friendly, sustainable, etc.?
So Pablo, as you would know, for Bridgestone, serving the society with superior quality has been a core ethos and value for us, straight from our founder. So over our existence is pivoted around this, and
Right.
sustainability is one of the cores around that. So we believe in Bridgestone on working on not just environment sustainability, but we're looking at the circular economy. So
Hmm.
Santosh mentioned in our plants in India, globally, we're now looking at renewable energy. So solar in India is something that we're piloting in one of our plants. On the product side, and especially for the premium luxury segment, so
Mm-hmm.
we are fortunate at Bridgestone to have our global expertise and the global R&D expertise. So on the product side, the core that you read towards carbon footprint emission reduction or carbon footprint reduction improvement is through low rolling resistance. Now, low rolling resistance has been a part of the OEM and the car specs for some time. And most tire manufacturers were looking at it from a more compound and construction point of view. But we are now taking the stage. But after that, you hit a peak because rolling resistance and performance or your handling of the tire is
where do you go beyond that?
It's a trade-off. So you hit. So we've now taken that to the next stage, and we've globally launched a range of tires called Enlighten. These are tires with different material specs, which make the tires lighter, lesser material used, hence better impact or better support to the carbon footprint, and provides the same fuel efficiency without compromising on safety. We've also had a research, again, launched in Europe, which is a range called O-Logic, which is we are driving better fuel efficiency through aerodynamic construction in the tire without kind of compromising in any of the performance parameters, which is very, very core to the luxury segment.
Right.
In India, we are anyways leading this with our Ecopia range, where we have around 7 to 10% better fuel efficiency vis-a-vis the industry benchmarks. But globally, we have now taken that to the next stage, where we're looking at how do we drive better fuel efficiency, better carbon footprint, without compromising on performance and handling. Performance gets translated basically into handling for premium consumers. And that works happen. So at Bridgestone, we are fortunate to have that capability in terms of global resources and technology. And there's a lot of work happening around that.
Right. Okay. Santosh, I know you're on a deadline, so I'll let you go after this one last question. Moving ahead, let's, if I would ask you to do a little bit of, crystal ball gazing. As far as Mercedes itself is concerned, you've just announced the S-Class, the new S-Class, which frankly it has so much new technology that I found it hard to actually keep up with the number of things that have gone into it. My question is, what will we see from Mercedes in the days to come? Because also through the, through the lockdown and also even before that, when the market was already beginning to be a bit shaky, you were going ahead and launching a number of products regardless. So the attitude seemed to be that we are going to do what we're going to do. We're good at this and we have full confidence in our products. So I assume that is what you'll be doing moving forward as well. So what can we see from Mercedes in the days to come? Also from a personal point of view, since Raj was talking about performance, as an automotive journalist, you can never get enough performance, to be honest. So in terms of, your AMG cars, performance vehicles, what can we see? What can we expect from Mercedes?
Yeah, so as you said, what excites automotive industry is new products. Frankly speaking, you can do any marketing campaigns, many stuff, but the products is what excites customers, all the other stakeholders also. So we stand committed to the product launches. We started with AMGs. We launched the C63 Coupe, went on to the GT 4-door with a new GLS. And then we have something more coming up even this month, and then followed with EQC. So we'll continue that process. But, we are also somehow, because constrained with volume products. For example, the new A-Class sedan, which we showed in the Auto Expo, the new GLA, we will have to give it a skip mostly this year because we don't have the production abilities right now because of the COVID situation. So that's something a miss, but we will try to compensate it with newer products or CBUs and imports. When it comes to AMG, we have seen a completely different. In fact, this year AMG sales will be the highest ever sales that we do in India because that's something strange but ironical. But as I said, that's the break-free attitude that you get. We have a lot of fans of the brand there, and they just want to enjoy this. And that's why when you look at an EQC, actually EQC is nothing but like an AMG performance without fuel. And that's what the boat is. It's so peppy. It's very fun to drive. So that's why we are also kicked about EQC because it's completely a new product, a paradigm shift in the way people will or consumers will use those cars. So for us, we stand committed to the strategy. I would also say on the after sales side, for example, we are fully partnering with our with different ideas and thoughts. For example, we are giving adapters to old cars so that even our customers who don't have a connected car today, they can install an adapter in their car and that becomes a connected car. So these customer-centric initiatives continue. We are doing adapter days, etc. in our dealerships to make cars connected. So we committed to product introduction, commit to connected cars, we commit to fit and healthy cars for the market, and all the customer-centric initiatives like financing or even very different offering will continue. So that's a commitment from our side to the Indian market.
Well, that's frankly, for me, that's great news because I always look forward to driving as many cars as I can. Just to quickly round up, similar question to you, Raj. How do you see things going from here? Is the future bright?
Pablo, the future is definitely bright. But so I see two big trends which are happening in the luxury segment. One is, and I'm sure Santosh will agree with me, luxury car owner is becoming far younger than they used to be a decade back. You know, we were looking at people at the age of 50 kind of owning luxury cars a decade back. That today would be in the 30s, mid 30s, early 40s because of the affordability. From our tire consumers, the luxury tire consumers, we again are seeing two clear segments emerging. One is, and we call them the convenience seekers. You know, they typically go around in chauffeur-driven vehicles. They like to sit behind, relax. And for them, it's the hassle-free convenience, peace of mind, which is most important. And which is where I think the transition is going to happen for us from just selling tires to becoming like a mobility solution provider, you know, partnering with the ecosystem, partnering with OEMs like Mercedes to kind of just remove the hassle of buying a tire. You know, he can just go from one point to another point. He doesn't have to think because that's what he's looking at. There is another segment that is clearly emerging, and with the AMG selling so high, I see that segment becoming much bigger, is we call them the performance seekers. They drive their adrenaline out of this performance. Now, these are people who are involved. They understand torque pressures, they understand maneuverability, they understand how the handling impacts input behavior and stuff like that. For them, I think this connected vehicles, and we Bridgestone globally, we just announced our partnership with the Microsoft Connected Vehicles platform, where we are going to draw out data from these premium cars and help the consumers. Yeah, it's not as additional sensor or it's not an additional device. On the devices that Mercedes is working on, we will draw out data and we'll help the consumer understand his tire needs. When does he need to change a tire? Is there a certain problem? And it's beyond TPMS. It's predictive analytics to kind of drive safety, to enhance performance. So we see within the luxury segment, we see these two segments evolving. And I'm sure Santosh will agree with me. So each of them are very distinct and you have to tailor your offerings to them. So that's the work that we at Bridgestone are on right
now. Right. Well, gentlemen, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you very much for taking time off from what I'm certain is a very busy workplace for both of you. As always, I hope to see the both of you in person someday. I really miss the days of being able to actually shake someone's hand and have a quick chat with a cup of coffee or something. Let's just fingers crossed hope that those days are with us sooner rather than later. Thank you very much once again. Take care, and we'll hopefully see each other soon enough.
Sure. Thank you, Pablo.
Please stay safe. Take care. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Pablo. Thanks for having me on the show, and look forward to catching up.
Take care.
Thank you, Santosh.
Thank you. Thanks, Raj. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks very much.